was invited to be a worship leader at the American Baptist Assembly in Green Lake, Wisconsin. Dr. King's parents were there. I spent as much time with them as I could, and they somewhat adopted me. Shortly afterwards, the Baptists of Scandinavia became intensely interested in the King movement. They invited me to come to Scandinavia. They had an intense interest in peace. They did not like the U.S. government's involvement in the Vietnam War and were attracted to Dr. King as a peacemaker. While I was there, he was assassinated, and that evening the young people filled the streets, and all you could hear is the rhythm of their feet striking the pavement as we marched into that huge cathedral and listened to a well-trained choir sing spirituals such as Deep River, My Home is Over Jordan. A very moving experience. We don't protest, we produce, and in producing, we win the adversary over to our side. We must speak for justice. Speaking passionately, we believe that God is a God of justice. The young people epitomize peace and justice. The God of justice is so powerful that you can't imprison this God in a creed or lock this God up in a denominational box. Some conservatives will say that Jesus did not call women, but they forget that Jesus is very close to women and that Jesus fought for the rights of women, and the women were the very last at the cross and the very first at the empty tomb. 'Twas not a woman but a man that denied Jesus 3 times. 'Twas not a woman but a man that stained the cheek of Jesus with a traitor's kiss. The women were there. They were there with the ministry of presence. They were there after the resurrection with the ministry of proclamation. The women were the very first to know what theologians call the kerygma, the fact that he's not dead, he's alive, he's in the world today. And Christianity is built on the foundations of the resurrection. And Jesus told the women, you go and tell my disciples. They don't know me as the resurrected Christ. They know me as the Galilean peasant. They don't know me as one who said I was dead, but I'm alive forevermore. And if Mary could carry Jesus in her body for 9 months, and if she could wrap him up with strips of cloth, and if she could teach him that his name was Yeshua, Jesus, and she could acquaint him with his Hebraic heritage, the God of Abraham and Sarah, the God of Isaac and Rebekah, and the God of Rachel Well, then why not recognize the fact that in Christ there is no male nor female, that in Christ there's no bond nor free? I could do nothing less. It would have been a disgrace to the way my mother and my grandmother reared me if I had not taken a stand for women. And we were the first in Northern California to ordain women and to recognize them as being equals in the proclamation of the unsearchable riches of Jesus Christ. The Roman Catholic Church has the doctrine of papal succession that originates with Peter being the first pope. And I'm just part of an African American succession that goes all the way back to the beginning of the first survivors of the Middle Passage. And as they passed it down through history, you see what I mean? And I think of my mentors. I think of Gayrod Wilmore. I think of Howard Thurman. I think of Daddy King, Martin's father, that called me Smith. I think of Frederick Douglass. There's a historic succession, and I would like for the young people of future generations to know that they belong, that they are part of this succession that gave birth to the Black Lives Movement. They must also recognize that the strongest leaders of the Black Lives Movement are women, and they will have to keep that heritage alive. You say the little good that I do will never tip the hovering scale where justice hangs in balance. I never said I thought it could, but I'm prejudiced beyond debate in favor of which side shall feel the stubborn ounces of my weight.